this is Amanda for Lavinia World, and today we're going to, well, do some Copic coloring, some background creation, several different techniques, and I just had fun with this card. So we're going to start off with Astrid from Lavinia Stamps, and I'm going to stamp it in Gina K Amalgam ink because, like I said, I'm going to do some Copic coloring. And I'm stamping this on Nina Classic Crest Solar White 80-pound cardstock because that is my preference for Copic coloring. So I did have to stamp this stamp several times because it's the first time that I've used it, and it's a very detailed stamp, and well, all that jazz. But I'm only going to show me stamping it once. I cut out all the extra stampings so we could save some time here because this is somewhat of a long video. But I have lots of things sped up, so it didn't take too terribly long, or it's not going to take too terribly long for you. So I am going to take a pencil here and close off this little line here because I'm going to cut this image out with my scanning cut. And I erased that off screen after the scanning cut it out. So I have my Copic color combinations popping up on the screen here for you. I do color darkest to lightest. That is my preference. So for the skin combination here, we've got E11 for my darkest color, and I'm just going to go around the edge of the face here and add some shadows. And then I will come in with E21 and blend that out a little bit further. Right here is the E21, and I'm just going to blend that out a little bit further. And then I'm going to come in with the E51, which will be my lightest color, and I will blend all that out into the center of the face. I prefer to color darkest to lightest, like I said. I know some people like to do lightest to darkest, or fill their lightest color in all the way and then do their darker colors. It's just kind of a personal preference on what you want to do. Here's that E51, like I said. Whatever works best for you. I prefer to do the darkest color first because I do tend to be a little bit heavier handed, and if I flood the area with my lightest color first, I tend to get some bleeding issues, but it's whatever your preference is. So here is my R20 for my blush, and then I'm just going to blend that out a little bit with my E51. Now I'm going to do the same combo for the neck, obviously, because I want her skin color to match. So again, I'm going to lay that darkest color down, and I'm going to do some little shadows on that, the shoulder neck piece thing, whatever she's got going on there for her clothing or whatever that is there. I'm not really sure what to call that piece, but I'm going to shade that a little bit because it would cast a little bit of a shadow. And then we're just going to fill that in with the other two colors. And then we will be moving on to the hair. And hair like this, well, it's very pretty, but it does scare me a little bit with the Copic coloring. I'm fairly new to alcohol marker coloring. I've done a little bit of it. I'm very new to Copics. I got them, well, sort of towards the beginning of this whole COVID mess. But I do try. So how I attack this, again, I do my darkest color first. I start laying it down where I think my shadows are going to be. And as I get going here, I'm not going to show all this coloring, by the way, because it did take me quite a while. But anyway, so I'll start laying my shadows down, and I'll keep doing it until, well, basically my eyes start to go cross-eyed. Once I start to like feel like things are getting very confusing, and I can't like start to tell I can't tell the difference of what's going on here. I will start to go to my next color. When things start to get confusing, I go to my next lightest color, or my next darkest color, or whatever you want to put it. I go to the next color, which this is my, let's see here. This is my R59 here, so when things start to get confusing and my eyes start to go cross-eyed, I will go down to the RV19, which I'm doing right here. And then once I get all those, all that R59 blended out with the RV19, then I'll go to the RV06 and then the RV21. And once I get all of this blended out that I've already colored, things start to make more sense. I can see what's going on here. And then I'll come back to my darkest color, RV59, and start working on the hair that I haven't colored yet, because I can start to see things better. I hope that makes sense. So all the areas that I haven't colored at this point, which not at this point in the video, but after I've gotten all this colored, things will start to make more sense, and I'll start filling in all the areas that I haven't colored. So that's how I attack an image like this. I don't know how anybody else does it, but that's how I attack it, because there is just so much going on with this hair that I have a hard time laying down all my shadows everywhere. Like I said, my eyes pretty much start to go cross-eyed, and it's like, I have no idea what's going on here. So I'll attack it a little bit by a little bit, and that's basically how I do it. But like I said, do whatever works for you. But that's how I attack something like this. But can I just say that she has got gorgeous hair? I am so jealous. I wish I had hair like that. My hair is straight as a board, and up until yesterday, it was long. It was almost down to my butt, but I chopped it all off yesterday. Well, not all of it. I chopped most of it off yesterday. Now it's just right about at my shoulders. So I am feeling much better about my hair because it's much shorter, much more manageable now. But it was straight as a board. It still is, but I wish I had nice, wavy, curly, nice hair like this. But I do not. I was not blessed with good hair. So, like I said, I'm not going to show you all of this, but I will show you some. So here, what I'm doing is, at least in my eye, I would think that the part that's curving up is going to have a highlight, and the part that's curving down is going to be more shadowed. So that's what I'm doing here. That's why I'm varying the color here to give it a little bit more interest. I don't know if that's correct, but that's just the way I did it. You can do whatever you want with your images, but that's how I figured it would be, and how it would add more interest to her beautiful hair here. So we're just going to keep adding more highlights and lowlights and shadows and whatever you want to call it. And so that's how I just added a lot more interest to her hair. Is just I added shadows where I thought they would be. I don't know if they were correct. Towards the top of her head, I do wish I added a little bit more of the lightest color, the RV21, but I didn't. I was still very happy with how this came out. But I do wish I added a little bit more RV21 in some places, but it is what it is. So you'll have to let me know. I don't know if some of you Lavinia people are Copic colorists. I know that a lot of the Lavinia stamps are more silhouette type images. So, but some of these new release items are more line drawings, and you can color them. So I'd be interested to know how many of you like to Copic color. I know I enjoy it. I've been enjoying it recently. It's one of my favorite mediums currently. So now I've finished all the hair, and I am moving on to the lips, and I chose the two darkest colors that I used in the hair so we can kind of match here. I used R59 and RV19. And then for the eyes, I decided to go green because I thought that they would really stand out and be striking. I thought about doing blue because the background of the card that I chose for my card is going to be blue, but I decided that green would really stand out. So in order to make that match a little bit, I chose to do the shoulder piece here green, and I chose, excuse me, YG17 and YG03. So that we would match a little bit here. So I'm just going to blend that out. And then we will be moving on to the background. And I did choose off screen, so you didn't have to watch that. I did choose to color the white space that she is sitting on, or the background of the die cut. I did choose to color that in blue, and I chose B32 for that, so it would kind of match my background here. So I am using one of the Fairy Hugs Fairy-Scapes, and I chose the Coral Reef one. And all of the supplies that you can find on the Lavinia World website will be linked in the description box below. So I'm using the coral reef background, pre-printed background, and I am using the Lavinia Stamps foliage stencil, and I'm just adding a few of the distress inks here over the top. I tried to stay away from the edges of the stencil here because, as you can see, the stencil isn't quite white enough, and I didn't want that harsh edge, even though in the end I ended up cutting this background down to, I believe it was 5 inches by 5 inches, but at the time I was blending this, I didn't realize I was going to do that. But if you do decide to do this and you're going to keep this background at a 6 by 6, you do want to try to stay away from those edges so you don't get a harsh line there. And as you can see, I did not get that harsh line. But in the end, this is actually 5.5 by 5.5 inches, but I did end up, again, like I said, later I do cut it down to 5 by 5. So now I'm taking the Pebble stencil, again by Lavinia Stamps, and I'm going to put some Versamark through it. Now at this point I had taken a anti-static powder tool and heavily covered the back. I had pixie spray on my stencil, and obviously anti-static powder tool and an adhesive do not combine real well, so I had to hold my stencil down with my hand. I didn't really think about that thoroughly. So I did take a little bit of my Versamark re-inker and I just put it on my glass mat, and I'm just taking a distress tool there, mini ink blending tool, there we go. And I'm just pouncing that through the stencil, and we're going to take some of the distress embossing glazes in broken china, and then I will add some cracked pistachio as well, and I'm just sprinkling that randomly over my background, and it will stick to the places that I have the Versamark on there. And here is the cracked pistachio. I'm just going to sprinkle that one randomly all over the background as well. And because I am mixing these, we're not going to be able to put these back in my jar, obviously, but I did keep this just for another project, just in case, because now I've got it mixed, and we'll see how that works later on. Maybe I'll use that on another project. So I am tapping this from underneath, that way the embossing glazes kind of mix together and I get kind of a variegated look on my background. So at this point I have cut it down to 5 by 5 inches, and the reason why I ended up doing that was because of the stenciling I did with the Pebble. I did get close to the harsh line edges on that stencil, and it looked funny. So that's why I ended up cutting it down to 5 by 5 there. So I've got some Craft Perfect Magnificent Magenta mirror card, and that's what I am matting this piece on. And I thought that matched really well with her pink hair there. So that's why I chose that piece. And then the bubbly like textured paper there, I thought went well because technically I believe she is a mermaid. You just can't see her tail. At least that's what I'm calling her. Because she came out with the mermaid type stamps and whatnot with this new release. So I'm calling her a mermaid. That piece is also Craft Perfect paper. It's like this cotton paper. It's their specialty papers. And this one is, it's going to pop up on the screen here in a second, or at least it should. It is Midnight Sky. And I really love the texture on that. It kind of reminded me of bubbles, so that's why that one got added. And then I'm going to pop this whole piece up on a piece of craft foam that I cut to be smaller than my little piece here. And I just added score tape to both sides, but I didn't, want you to have to watch that painful process. And then I'm just going to glue her down straight to my background here with some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. And I love these Nuvo Deluxe bottles because I have hand problems. I've got nerve problems in my hands, and the shape of these bottles do not hurt my hands like a lot of glue bottles do. So I love these bottles. I actually decant some of my other glues into them when these are empty. So that's a little tidbit for you. If you have problems in your hands, you might want to try these bottles. Anyway, So I've got her glued down now, and then I die cut this Dreamer sentiment several times out of some light blue cardstock, and then again out of that magnificent magenta, and stacked it up for a dimensional look. And then I'm just going to glue that down to my background. I had a little piece that I didn't weed there in the A. And we're just going to glue that down to my background here. And I'm going to put that to the upper left-hand side. Thought that kind of balanced off my card. And then we will be finishing off the card with some Nuvo Aqua Shimmer pen and glitter gloss, because what mermaid is not sparkly? So I'm going to put that in her hair and on her lips. And that will finish off my card for today. I hope that you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to the Lavinia World channel. And my links for my channel and social media are also in the description box below, as well as all the products that you can find in the Lavinia World store. There's also a link to the Anything Lavinia World Facebook group where we share lots of projects and fun stuff. And I hope to talk to you in the comment section below. And as always, have a great day.